Hello, gentle viewers. This is App Guardian, welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 25 with the Detroit Tigers. In our previous episode, we had an okay season. We're able to win 90 games fairly consistently, but we're still trapped in this scenario where there's only two playoff spots, one in each league, and that's what we're running into. It's difficult to call the Tigers a bad team because they're not. They're just not quite good enough. All right. Our owner wants us to do some things. We'll see if I pay attention to them or not. What do we need most? Third base is an area to upgrade potentially. What else? Third base is definitely an area to upgrade. Well, I think Jim Davenport is fine. Um, he is very, very reliant on high batting average to be a productive hitter. Um, and last year was actually worse than it looks, but he hit a bunch of triples, which is unusual and something we shouldn't expect him to report. I'm not saying he's a bad player, and I'm not saying he's not useful. But what I am saying is that I don't think he is the kind of player that we want necessarily at their base if there's somebody better. Can Ken Harrelson handle first base? I'd certainly like him to. His rookie season certainly wasn't filled with glory. But if we keep working on him, hopefully we can see him start to improve. Ron Hansen is an interesting player because offensively he's nothing special, but he's very well regarded defensively, and that helps prop up his skill set. So it's not necessarily looking for upgrades, it's making the most of what we've already got, and it's trying to get the right player at the right time, which I think is true for most people, but like it's hard to look at this team and say this team sucked. Looks like we had some error issues last year. That might be something we can fix. Who was struggling there? Our shortstop and our second baseman. Awesome. Our infield is very, very error prone, but all have really high ranges other than Davenport. What this means is they're getting to balls that most players wouldn't, but they're not as successful when they do get to them. If we look at their advanced stats here, they're not really making as many routine plays as you'd like. But I mean, again, remember the buckets that we're in here. Roughly speaking, 90% for routine, 75% for likely, 50% for even, 25 to 30% for unlikely, and then anything else you get to is gravy. Um, I can't remember what Z is. Oh, remote. Yeah. That's just how I look at it. That's my rule of thumb. I don't actually know if that's how it's meant to work. Um, Feel free to let me know in the comments if you're a little bit more knowledgeable about the advanced defense statistics. But so Fergosi is a bit of an issue. His range on the likely balls isn't that good. He's not executing. But he is a second baseman, and so he was also our best player by far last year. Although again, powered by triples. Fergosi becoming a star is exactly what this team could use. Our owner also wants us to get a power hitter, which makes sense. I think we could probably use one. Um, Harrelson might be that guy if Hawk can make solid contact, cut down the strikeouts a little bit. He could be a really valuable hitter. We need to hit around 250, I think. Better is obviously higher is better, but I think about 250 is when he starts to become really productive. Um, because he's going to draw plenty of walks. That means we just need him to hit the balls that he can hit. Um, thank goodness for Gene Oliver, right? Um, Okay. I really wish the AI would stop doing this, would stop assigning people to positions just for fun. Albie Pearson is also another important player for us. Although we got a great season out of him. I do think his low power, and I don't mean his low home run power. I mean his low doubles power. Singles hitters who draw lots of walks are valuable, but they're the kind of players that need a great team around them. He's basically a leadoff guy. As long as he's stealing bases, playing good defense, and getting on base, I'm happy. But there may be better options available to us here, potentially. He's had an okay career, but he hasn't really had a year quite as good. And he's just started coming to his own the last couple of years, so we'll have to see what he can manage. I want to see that 30 doubles happen again. I think that's an important step for him to be the best player he can be. Let's check on free agency and see if anything grabs us here. Probably not. I mean, if I can get a high quality starting pitcher, I mean, I guess it's fair to ask the question, is he actually a high quality pitcher? He's got some decent pitches here. His velocity is not super. He does walk people. So currently my rotation is pretty damn good. Um, that doesn't mean we can't get better. I do think adding him would be a net positive. So let's make it happen. I'll give you a major league contract. I think worst case scenario would turn him into an excellent reliever, but I think he is at least good enough to be given some opportunities starting potentially. So that's going to happen. Chip Chippendale, that poor guy. That poor guy. I wanted all players, not all pitchers, not all hitters, all players. Okay. Poor Lou Berberet. Who cut him? That wasn't me, was it? No. He's had a hard time, and he hates me for cutting him in the first place, which is fair. But I mean, look at this year you have with the Yankees. I don't know why you've been such an itinerant player since I released you, but you've been out of the major leagues now for a while. So finding you a home is going to be interesting. Let's just go ahead and advance time a little bit. A trade proposal, you say? Want to check on coaches or player development? That's on me. Okay. There's a few things to like about this trade. First and foremost, he is a captain, and I don't think we have one of those right now. We don't. Yes, I will hire coaches. Settle down, game. He's a great defender. He's a good utility guy. I don't know that he solves any offensive issues, but he definitely is a great utility guy. Ollie Brown is mid. If we give him up, we give him up, no problem. I still think Roger Repos has a little bit of future to him. I think Carl Taylor is the one I'm least likely to give up. So let's discuss his trade. I'd rather keep Taylor. Let's see if he's willing to take that particular trade. Because I do actually want him. I think he would serve a crucial role backing up at a variety of positions. Just Carl Taylor's a little bit too good to be giving up. All right, let's head over to coaching. We need a bench coach. We have Red Ruffing, who's actually a pretty good coach. Let me go and just promote Red Ruffing as our bench coach. and save ourselves a little bit of time. I'm going to have Red Roughing teach the outfield so that we can get better base running with Horner. That makes sense to me. Player development. Player development. Okay. I need Mike Lum to improve. I need him to be a top tier player sooner rather than later. I want him to do something fairly easy for him, which I think means plate discipline. Let's do it. Roger Nelson got to work on control. Carl Taylor is not a catcher, which actually reduces his value. If they insist on Taylor, I might actually pull the trigger. What he is right now is he's an outfielder that's really good at getting on base and occasionally hitting for average. I've already got one of those, so. Jackie Boy is a little bit more well-rounded. That's how subtle my work on his secondary pitches to become a little bit more effective. I definitely need to get Hawk Harrelson in here. His quality of contact is... Yes. It's going to be hard, but I really need you to work on it. I think that's that's a critical step to us being the best team we can. Joe Mueller, keep working on control. Um, it's not a coincidence that last season you had a really good year. Because you slashed your walk rate pretty drastically, and I think that's why you were as effective as you were. So let's build on that success. Let's have you continue to work on your control. Hmm. Let's try something zany. Let's have Jack Hyatt work on his power. I don't know whether it's going to work, but if it does, I think it unlocks another level for him that's very beneficial. Alright, let's advance time. I've gotten a reply. If you want Eddie Casco, because he basically filling the same role, I have no problem with that. Enjoy him. I would love to get Ken Berry on this team. I've got a feeling it's too difficult, but I would have loved to make that happen. Nah, I'm gonna make this trade. I am interested to see how Repos turns out. I'm gonna go ahead and shortlist him, but for the other two, I just don't think they're that important. Um, what I do think is his leadership and his ability to play all three positions with a high degree of skill is going to make him a fine addition to this club, but he's not going to be starting very many games. If he ever starts as many games for us as he did for Washington last year, that's the sign that something has gone horribly wrong. Um, you are reasonably pleased. Okay, American League Gold Glove winners, no Tigers. That's understandable, I suppose. No Cardinals either. Oh no, there is. There's Ed Bailey still cranking along here. Nice. right. Hoyd Wilhelm is still pitching at a very high level, which is excellent to see. I'm just going to go ahead and zip along to Hall of Fame voting. I mean, it is a bad trade deal, so I'm glad we didn't get the chance to make it. So it's like for Jim Fregosi. Very nice. Very nice indeed. And we're just going to go head on down to Hall of Fame voting. Oh, I forgot to put him on the roster. My bad. Let's see here. Rookie of the Year. Harrelson got a single vote. That's funny. Kansas City, I mean, they won the World Series. It's hard to argue with that. Louis Tiant finished third in Cy Young voting. That's surprising. In a good way. Jim Fregosi got a few votes on the MVP, but honestly, in a league where Hank Aaron just effortlessly hits 30 home runs a year, it's really hard for anybody to break through. So, all right, mostly uninteresting trades happening. Let's cast our ballot. I'm gonna keep going for some of these guys just because I think they deserve a shot, but I don't think they're gonna make it. I will vote for Hubert Glenn and Harvey Haddix. Hubert Glenn, I think, is our one shoe-in on this particular ballot. I'll vote for George Kell, Sherm Lawler, Billy Pierce. Yeah, Ted Williams was pretty good. I guess we can vote for him. And then it's just a question of who else is really valuable, and I'm gonna use my last vote for Jackie Robinson. Um, I think Williams and I think Glenn both sail in. Beyond that, it's hard to say. Did they really call Ted Williams the kid? I've always heard of him as the Splendid Splinter, but I don't remember hearing of him as the kid. We got Earl Wilson. That's a nice little acquisition for us. I'm pretty happy about that. Um, our fourth outfielder could use upgrading. That might come from Mike Lum. Oh, damn. Jack Hyatt all of a sudden looks really, really good. Did something happen? Maybe. Oh, Mike Lum got worse. Interesting. Well, still way too early to really have any good sense of things. And there could be a really good player waiting for us in the draft. So let's just keep keeping on for right now. And then we can think about what we want. Oh no, not that fucking guru. Hopefully that's not one of my players. I don't think I have anyone named Miller. Oh shit, I have Stu Miller. Oh good, it's Donald Miller. Who the fuck is this guy? Bro, you suck. I'll tell you what my fucking you're cut. That fucking guru, man. I know it's actually possible to get like a really, really good result from that, but I've almost always seen the bad one. Good riddance. is a pretty good draft with Steve Carlton at the top of it, and Cito Gaston is also a respectable player. It is going to be interesting because we don't really have, like, I get the sense if I take a look, this is going to be a very mid draft. Yeah, as I predicted. There's some good players here, but for the most part, the really top tier players just aren't there. There's some good ones though. Like we've got Jim Palmer, we've got Tony Horton, Larry Dierker, Steve Carlton. Obviously, is a Hall of Famer. I don't know much about Bobby Mercer. Who did you play for? You had quite a career playing for the Yankees. It looks like interesting. Don't remember him at all. Wasn't he a second baseman in real life? Not a shortstop. I thought it was second baseman. If I'm thinking of the same guy. Either way, there are some decent players in this draft. I think I'm going to come away with somebody that's going to make us happy, but I don't think we're going to get any of the really good ones. But we'll see. Okay. I mean, we've been told to get a power hitter. And Tony Horton would definitely fill the other role I talked about, which is that I wanted a really good fourth outfielder to help push the other two. I think this is a slam dunk easy pick. Like, I don't see another reason to take somebody else, so let's just take him. Is he gonna bump anybody out? I mean, he could bump someone like Gene Oliver out, but at least for now, we're gonna have a much upgraded outfield. This is already a very successful draft, in my opinion. No problem at all with Richie Shine Bloom either. Um, he's got some flaws in his game. In particular, most of his high contact comes from just not striking out. But he's a good athlete. He plays the outfield fairly well. He's good at getting on base, and he's got enough BABIP that I think he'll be a singles doubles hitter. I think he'll be effective. I just don't think he's gonna be a starter or um anybody that special. I mean, Salvador Sanchez fucking sucks. And the idea that I want to pay him extra to see him suck more is I don't know, man. I don't know, bruh. Frederico's nothing to write home about, but at this stage in a fairly shallow draft, I think it's perfectly reasonable to go ahead and draft him. And then I kind of don't care at this point, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let the AI finish the draft. I mean, Jack Nutter might be terrible, but he only wants $250. I'm more than happy to pay that to see what he can accomplish. If you're really only a second baseman and your only real skill is not striking out, that's a little unuseful. Yancey is a good defender and very, very fast. I'm willing to take a risk on that he figures out how to improve his hitting. I mean, David Trulock is again very, very fast and adaptable. Maybe. I guess there's very little downside to offering people an offer, I suppose. Worst case scenario, they suck, but you've paid so little that it doesn't really matter. Who is coming up for Rule 5 eligibility? Pete Mickelson is, and I definitely want to keep him. That's one. I'm gonna trade. No, his minor league track record is pretty terrible. I think trading Jimenez and seeing if somebody's going to give me anything for him is the right play. He's just not good. There's nothing remotely interesting about his offensive skill set. I'd rather have a mediocre reliever than a hitter that's that low quality. Are you fucking brain damaged? I am not giving you any actually good players for a mediocre pitcher. No. I don't care then. Josh Herrenstein is thoroughly mid. There's a lot of mid happening here. There's also Jack Hyatt shifting over to the outfield, which actually seems like a reasonable play. Although he's actually a good enough catcher that I certainly would not sit there and tell you he cannot be a backup catcher. Um, yeah. Let's go up to the Rule 5 draft. I could get Don McMahon back. No thank you. I refuse. Um, Cal Emery isn't bad. I could make the funniest decision of claiming Jerome Yelvington. Who am I currently rocking in my pen? Would he be an upgrade? He'd be better than some of them. You know what? We can give him a shot. I could bring back Mudcat Grant, but I don't think so. Charles Fredericks has a lot of interesting skills. I'm willing to give him a shot, but the ice is going to be quite thin for him, I think. And then I think we go ahead and call it a draft at that point. I don't think there's anybody else I'm interested in. The Angels are very, very busy in the Rule 5. Wow. So he's traded for Roger Repos and then lost him in the Rule 5. So you basically only got Brown and Casco. That's so funny. I mean, he's just a corner outfielder. He could embarrass himself in center if he wanted him to. I'm curious to see how he does, for sure. What do we have on the trade block? Is there anybody of interest? An upgrade in the bullpen would be rather nice. I wonder how much it would cost me. Not as much as you'd think, but more than I'm willing to pay. I don't see there being much upside in me giving up a really good prospect for what's a reliever, so I think I pass on that. Poor Jim Woodling is just eternally on the trade block. Mm, mm. Alsman is not a third baseman, nor is Pete Runnels, nor is Ernie Banks. Damn, I can't believe the Cardinals traded him. That's right, I called him Mr. Cardinal to troll Cubs fans. For Juan Pizarro, who's admittedly a pretty good pitcher, but that's kind of wild. Is a former league fucking MVP, and he has not aged well, just like the real Ernie Banks. Bring back Minnie Minoso, have him play third base randomly. That would be kind of funny, but also not very good. I think we just run it back with this current team and see if we can maybe see some other upgrades. How did I miss Warren Spawn? I would have voted for him. Norm Larker is uninteresting. Like, I'm not saying Ethan Blackaby is anything great, but he's just not good. Why didn't I vote for Warren Spawn? Did I just not see him? I would have voted for him 100% if I had seen him, so if I'm the reason he didn't get unanimous, then shame on me. I'm fairly certain if we go by career award that Ted Williams is the greatest player of all time, but I'm also equally certain that Mickey Mantle is rapidly approaching him. Yeah. Mickey Mantle is going to be the third best player in Major League Baseball history at the end of this season. And he's got a real shot to take down Big Ted, as he like to be called. Actually, I don't know if that's true. His home run lead sees a little bit more safe, at least for now, but that's fucking wild, man. Only 4 members of the 500 Homer Club, without a lot of people coming up there. Eddie Matthews and Stan Musial are both doing quite well. They'll probably get to 500 homers, but it's an exclusive club for the moment. I'm just something irrationally mad they just randomly cut Ted Williams and basically guaranteed one of my bitter rivals multiple championships. So that was an uncool game. Most distressing. Alright. I think something that could make OOTP a little bit more interactive would be having an actual scouting staff, potentially, but I don't know that I'd want to spend a lot of brain power on it. Dick Stewart does have power, it's true, but I don't know where he'd actually play. And I'm just not that impressed by him, so I think I reject your offer. But just something like having like a small scouting staff and telling them like what to do would be kind of fun. But it also could get really, really micromanagey, and that's not something I enjoy from my OTP experience. Now, if you do, you can play every single pitch of every single game. That's fantastic. If that is what you like to do, that's just not me. Um, I'm like the rare person that loved the new Hearts of Iron 4 because I hated the micro from Hearts of Iron 3. Just too much. It was too much assigning generals to every single layer. You could boot up the game of Soviet Union and spend the first 4 hours doing nothing but organizing, and I just found that deeply unsatisfying. But there's plenty of people that do. There's more than a few people for whom that is their jamest of jams. Um, and if that's the case, Go for it. Louis Tion losing velocity does concern me. I am probably, in all honesty, burning out people's arms by promoting them so young. Um, Truly, I am the Dusty Baker of all time. Damn, people got a lot better at stuff. That's everybody did better. Nice. I fucking love it, man. Great job, team. Great job. All right, spring training time. Hyatt, Horton, Stottlemyre, Lum. That feels alright, and I'm gonna go ahead and let my bench coach just go nuts. We are gonna carry 6-man rotation, though. That is certain. It's recent that they're going to bench Ken Harrelson. I don't disagree with it. I think Tony Horton is the better player, potentially. But we'll have to see what happens. I do think he's a little bit better in the outfield than he is in the infield, but I'm not going to disrupt any of my top 3 outfielders at the moment, so we shall see. I don't like you benching Jim Fregosi. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just cease thy stupidity, game. There is no fucking world where the best player on the team is benched because of your weird obsession with defense. Just stop. Cease. If you want to bench somebody, bench fucking Davenport, but don't you dare touch Jim Fregosi. He's way too good to be batting 8th, but it's spring training, so I don't really care. Yeah, I just don't care enough, other than making sure that the player that should be getting the second base reps gets them. This is all fine. This I am on board with. I have no objections with us rapidly rotating people out to get lots of people playing experience. Let's go ahead and advance to April. We'll go from there. Right, spring training is all about players developing. That's something else I'd love to see in OOTP, actually. Spring training is a time to work on shit more than it is to. I mean, I guess you can always control how people spend their development time. I guess that already exists. Yeah, ignore me. I'm asking for something that's already a thing, so. It's getting hard to see what they could actually do to make a noticeable improvement, other than just continually improving their engine and most especially improving optimization. But this is already like a really optimized game. Like this runs really smoothly, almost 50 seasons into um almost 50 seasons into this particular save across a couple of games. We're looking at some good shit. All right, 20 pitchers. Let's get that number down to 12. Newman to the minors. Daniels to the minors. um Fredericks returns to his home team. Booze to the minors, Bennett to the minors. We're currently at 15 players. Still got to get rid of at least 3 more, maybe just 2 more, but Schwarzenegger to the minors. I think Yelvington goes back to his home club. The thing is, I don't want to lose. You know what? I think I send down Pete Riker. There we go. All right. Our ace is actually going to be either Wilbur Wood or Louis Tiant. Wood was our best pitcher last year by far, so I think it's going to be Wood. Then Tiant. Let's get some pitching ratings up in this place. Then I think Joe Moeller is our starter there. Mm. Mel Stottlemar's nothing left to learn in the minor leagues, so he's definitely going to be on this roster in some capacity. I think we go Washburn, and then we go Stottlemar's our fifth starter. Which means the good old Mel here needs to be added to the 40-man. Stu Miller is very clearly our best reliever. It needs to be our stopper. Our next most effective pitcher. Oh, I forgot about Pedro Ramos. He actually had a pretty good year in the rotation last year. I'm gonna make you the first man up. Do I let him be the fifth starter and let Stottlemyre stretch out his arm in the bullpen to start the year? I think he needs regular reps. So I think Mr. Ramos here is going to be an emergency starter and a long reliever. Um, no, he's going to be a middle reliever that we use more often and a long reliever. I want him to get lots of innings because he's actually not a starter anymore anyway. Okay, well that's good to know. Um, Schultz and Face are both middle relievers that I don't have any strong opinions about. Mickelson is also a middle reliever. Cuellar is going to be the emergency starter, long reliever. And then Earl Wilson has by far the best arm, so we're going to make him a long reliever, emergency starter. I would like to have a lefty killer. I think that's the one thing this bullpen is missing, but I'm not willing to invest very much into that happening. So, all right, I have 4 catchers. I do not need 4 catchers. Merritt Ranu, I'm just gonna go ahead and waive him. I'm not even gonna worry about sending him to the minors until he's off my roster. Jack Hyde is by far the better hitter compared to Kirkpatrick. Has Hyde played in AAA yet? Yes, he has. Hmm. Come back to it. Stain Johnson is a no from me, dog. Okay, Cliff Cook is utter trash at this point. Like, he has nothing to offer anybody. That sounds a bit mean, I guess. I'm not saying he's like a worthless human being. He's just not a very good baseball player. Jose Pagan still... No, I don't need Jose Pagan anymore either. Because I have Dick here, who's actually a much better shortstop than he is. Away with you, Senor Pagan. Away with you. Lum back to the minors. I had no intention of him making the roster anyway. Horton does make the roster. One of the outfielders is going to go, and I think it's going to be Blackaby. No, Blackaby could handle center if we needed him to. Charlie James really could. Charlie James actually isn't that good. Let's send him to the minors. I know to the untrained eye looks like I'm carrying 3 catchers. I'm actually not. But I do need to decide what to do about this logjam here. Oh, Ken Harrelson is also a captain. Nice. I think I sent down Hawk Harrelson and let Tony Horton... No, I don't think I do that. Because other than Johnny Edwards, Hyatt and Kirkpatrick are both in outfielders too. I'm gonna send down Kirkpatrick. I think that's my decision here. And then Hyatt is added to the roster. Yeah. Alright, lineup time. Let's go. Kill all the things. Alright. Now this is becoming interesting. In that I don't know who plays which positions at this point. Albie Pearson clearly hits leadoff. It's the role he was born to play. And then the question becomes who hits second. And I kind of think of Ron Fairley hitting second. Like, he's losing his power. For whatever reason, he's not the power hitter he used to, but he's still a very effective hitter. I think having him hit second is really good. And is going to be a really nice shot in the arm for this club. Then who hits third? Is the next big question. And that is one I don't have a good answer to. There's a lot of players who are right around the same talent level offensively. I think it's going to be Johnny Edwards. And I've never put this much pressure on him offensively, but I think he can handle it. Because he's just so well-rounded that I think he easily slots in as our third hitter. I like that gap power and his just general power. Speaking of power, Gene Oliver is our best power hitter, so I think he has to be the cleanup guy. He has to be. Hitting fifth is interesting, and I think it's Jim Fregosi. I think it's a good spot for him. Like I said, it's an interesting question, then instantly make the decision without too much thought. So the real question to start the season is who actually starts at first base. Tony Horton is better than Hawk Harrelson right now because he's got better on-base skills in terms of actually making meaningful hits. But I still think it's going to be Ken Harrelson. And we're just going to let him develop as much as he can. He had a really good showing in AAA. I think he just needs constant reps to see if he can overcome his limitations of his somewhat uninspired contact. Jim Davenport then is gonna hit 7th, and Ron Hansen is gonna hit 8th. This is a very interchangeable lineup in that very few players have a skill that really puts them head and shoulders above the others. Gene Oliver may be the one exception to that. I have a lot of good hitters. I still don't have a lot of great hitters. So, um, this is mostly actually starting lineup with the addition of Actually, this is last year's starting lineup, other than Ken Harrelson playing at first base to begin the season instead of coming in about halfway through. So, give me new depth charts, please. I like Horton getting frequent at bats, but let's make it every fifth game, and let's make it every seventh for Hyatt. Fergosi is too important to the team offensively to be benched for Trashevsky any more than like defensively or every once in a while. I'm just gonna use the same depth chart against both areas. I just think it's easier. Yeah. I do like Horton getting fairly frequent at bats because I do want to see what he can do, but it's less important to me that he has a great season than to see Harrelson make a step forward. But I will monitor his progress quite closely, and if it turns out that he is not good, then I will bench him. I think the key this season is really going to end up being Ken Harrelson and whether he can be what he needs to be. If he can drive balls out of the park regularly, I think we've got a chance to be a really winning team this year. Elbert Melton is apparently the king of triples in our franchise. That's wild. 232 triples is a lot of triples, I think it's fair to say. Well, it looks like he played in the Negro Leagues a little bit. Nice. That's a lot of triples. That is so many triples. He's got to be like the major league leader in triples of all time, right? He has to be, or close to it. Fourth. Fourth. Damn, this time on Lou Gehrig hit lots of triples. That's pretty crazy. Real life Lou Gehrig had some seasons with a few triples, so I guess, yeah. I never thought of Lou Gehrig as being that fast, as someone who literally never saw him play because, once again, I'm not that old. I just feel that old. Whenever someone says you're only as old as you feel, that always seems like a threat to me. Mm. As predicted, nobody even considered claiming them from me. You fools, you foolish fools. I know that Ron Fairley was an announcer. That's cool. Mostly meh. I don't like seeing Wilbur Wood getting worse, but I still think we're doing okay. Richie Scheinblum, we're trying to make him a pitcher, huh? Is he any good at it? He's not good at it. I mean, I don't think there's a way to do anything there. Good old Sparma Joe. I didn't even know that his name was Joe. I just decided to call him Sparma Joe, and it turns out that actually is his name. That's pretty wild. 5 weeks out for Jim Davenport. Um, is what it is. I think calling up Sandy Alomar is the right move. Because I just don't have anybody else that I think could even handle the infield. But we're gonna go ahead and make Dick Trashevsky our starting third baseman, while he is injured. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and slide in Alomar as the backup at all three positions here. There you go. And then copy the depth chart. I'm also going to remove him as the defensive sub because he's going to be busy. So we'll do that. And I shall paste, and I shall sim forward. That is less good, but also not the end of the world. He's only out for a couple of weeks. And this will give a chance to somebody like somebody will get a chance to play every day. Elfio Jimenez gets called up. How long is Wilbur Wood out? We don't know yet. It's a hand injury. Those are important to be a pitcher. Um, Honestly, I kind of want to let Jack Hyatt play every day. Or Tony Horton, actually. Yeah, let's put Tony Horton in right field while this is happening. All right. Beautiful. Um, Let me finish today. Finish today. That's good. Took 3 years off his pension. It's funny. Friends, I'm going to go ahead and step away for a moment. I will be back momentarily. All right, I have returned, friends. Let's check out this email here. Oh, he just injured his thumb. He's going to be back for day. Playing too many video games, I bet. I know that's not actually possible because Pong wasn't invented yet, but look, I'll make the jokes here. Okay. Well. Hmm. Hmm. How are we looking as a team? We're still scoring runs somehow. To be honest, I'm not quite sure how, but we are. Despite some very unencouraging performances from certain members of this lineup, who we'll call, for example, Hawk Harrelson. Um, he's got the on base abilities, he's got the power, he just doesn't make contact enough. So we're gonna have some issues having him fit in. The first thing I'm gonna do is very simple. I'm gonna put Ron Hansen and have him start hitting sixth. I need Harrelson to get comfortable in order for us to be the best team we can. I gotta be honest with you, Johnny Edwards is not doing well in his new role as our number 3 hitter. He's not driving enough runs in, and he's not hitting as well as he should be. It may be too much pressure to have a catcher also be your number 3 hitter, but Oliver's playing well. Gene Oliver, at least, is holding up his end of the bargain. Jim Fregosi is certainly not playing poorly. And he's definitely on pace to be where he was last season. I wonder if this is the solution to my number 3 problem. What if we let Jim Fregosi be the number 3 hitter? And Johnny Edwards hits 5th. Let's try this, see if we can unlock another level of success for this team. Pearson is getting on base. And we don't know enough about Tony Horton, but so far their early results with him seem to be quite beneficial. Pitching looks mostly okay. Ray Washburn is struggling. Um, he's basically like a nothing burger at this point. Mel Stottlemyre's doing okay. I wish he struck more people out, or at least walk fewer people, but he's doing alright. Top rotation is quite good. Joe Moeller is still adjusting. It's important to note that nobody has more than 50 innings, so it's also possible that this will sort itself out in the end here. Um, Pedro Ramos is really struggling. He's become a fan of giving up home runs, which is not a good thing from your pitcher. I'm gonna turn him down a bit. Do not use him more often. Instead, use Barney Schultz more often, I think. There you go. Let's go ahead and press on. Part of what's hurting us is not having Ron Fairley in the lineup. I think he would change things pretty significantly. So we'll see how things go once he's able to return. Davenport's been out for another 2 weeks. That's whatever, I guess. I can't do anything about that. Alright, Ron Fairley is back. Can Elfil Jimenez play center? He cannot, which makes him less useful. Demote you, bring back Ron. Tony Horton has played well, but he's certainly not good enough to play every day at this stage, so we're just going to slot Mr. Fairley right back in. And let's rejigger our depth charts here. I do want Horton playing somewhat regularly, so I think having him fill in every few games at first is fine. But for the moment, anyway. How is Jack Hyatt taking to his role? Not super well. He's not bad, but he's not good either. He definitely needs to get some more work in. 100%. Alright, let's go ahead and progress to the end of the month. We can have Jim Davenport back. Sandy Alomar is actually hitting fairly well in limited time. But so is Ken Hubbs. My biggest issue with Ken Hubbs is the fact he can only really play second base well, so I think I'm going to send him to the minors. We're going to keep Alomar, and I'm going to bring Davenport back. Yeah, because as predicted, Krzyzewski is already not hitting again. So Davenport's going to get his old job back for now. Interesting. I think... I think we trade Davenport. I'm not saying that Krzyzewski deserves to start for us, and I don't want him to. But the difference is that Davenport is just fine. And I need more than fine. Who is on the trade block right now? Joe Adcock is only first base. Alright, let's do Player Finder. All leagues. Third base. Overall of at least 50. I don't love that you... Oh, you can specify defense. Let's go for defense of at least 45. There you go. A guy like Chuck Hinton would be a mighty nice addition to this club. I just don't think I can acquire him. But I think if any team's going to part with a third baseman, it would be the Twins. It could also be the Giants. You would never give up Menke, right? Like, that's a non-starter. Okay. I suspected as much. Let's talk to them about Chuck Hinton. Alright. I can work with this. Let me start with Jim Davenport, because I'm not going to keep Davenport if I can get Chuck Hinton. What am I prepared to give up to upgrade a third base? Chuck Hinton is an upgraded third base, right? Yes, he is. He's a significantly better third baseman. They want Roger Nelson. I'm just not prepared to give him up. What about Bob Oliver? Does that move the needle for you? It does a little bit. Okay. All right. Um, Carl Taylor. You're still asking for really good players is the issue. And I'd almost, rather than give up this many players, I'd rather just give up a couple. Roger Nelson is pretty decent. I don't know that I want to give him up. Is there any other single player that they would take? Jack Hyatt. Or Ken Harrelson. I mean, he is getting better. He is getting better. What if I offered you Taylor and Brown? No, you're still being pretty insistent on getting a really good player. I don't blame you. Chuck Hinton is really good. I'm certainly not asking for a small thing. So I think I need to be able. I think I need to grit my teeth and accept that. But what if we didn't? What if we didn't get? What if we got really greedy? Because if people are wanting a high quality prospect, I need somebody that is a little bit younger and has a little bit more upside to him. I really want someone who's got some good thump on him. Menke is way too much, right? Like Menke is just a non-starter. Yeah. Okay. Um, Rich Rollins isn't very good. Ken McMullen is pretty solid, but all he is solid. And again, I'm trying to get greedy here. I'd love Jimmy Wynn, and I know there's no chance in hell I'd be able to get a piece of him. That's just not going to happen. Woody Held would be nice. He's also super expensive. What would Woody Held cost me? Too much. Okay. Pete Ward would be very, very nice. What would that cost me? Probably. Okay. I can work with this. Pete Ward is really damn good all around. He's a good defender, and he's a captain. I think Pete Ward is exactly the kind of player we should be pursuing. For someone like Pete Ward, I would offer Roger Nelson. Um, I think Nelson and Kirkpatrick is a pretty good deal for him. And I'll throw in Davenport just because I have no desire for him. Actually, if I do add on Davenport and I drop Kirkpatrick, does it get us a better? Yes, you want this fuckhead done 1,000 times. I do regret losing Roger Nelson, and I genuinely think Roger Nelson is going to be a really, really good pitcher. I don't care about the rest of it. Pete Ward is a huge upgrade at third base in every conceivable way. And he significantly improves our offense. Um, yeah. The question is where he hits in the lineup, and I genuinely think he's our new number 5 hitter. Yeah. Easy choice. That's the kind of bold moves you have to make if you do want to try to get yourself into the postseason. So I am here for this. 10,000%. Um I love it. Let us advance time. The thing is, we are right on the cusp here. We are right on the cusp of being one of the best teams in the American League and winning the pennant. Does the Gallic Ward take us over the top? It certainly doesn't hurt. It absolutely does not hurt. Not too much crazy is happening. Jack Hyatt's getting better at catching. Pete Ward is Pete Warding. Um, and we kept Ed Kirkpatrick. I call this a win, up and down, side to side, and every which way. I'm very happy about that. I wonder who makes the All Star team from Detroit. Like, I feel like Fregosi has it in the bag, but we'll see where else we might get ourselves a starter. Fregosi and Hansen both made it. Nice. I think we could probably make an argument for another player or two, but I'm honestly perfectly happy with this. Um, I'm a little surprised we couldn't bump Joey J. Like, surely one of my pitchers is good enough to bump Joey J. Like Wilbur Wood, for example. Yeah, Louis Tion, I think, has a better argument to be an all star, but that's all right. As long as he pitches well, I don't care if he's an all star or not. Do you have any other hitters that really deserve it? Pete Ward probably deserves it. Um, but because he got traded, I think that probably messes stuff a little bit. Like, I think he definitely would have made it on the National League side if I had kept him, but maybe not. Maybe not. All right, guys, let us progress forwardly up to the trade deadline. Personal message. You want more fans? Well, shut up. There's advice to you, Chris Martinson. Shut the fuck up. How about you try that? No, I actually need Sandy Alomar, at least for the short term here. Man, Dean Chance has been just utterly ridiculous for the Yankees. Like, really, Dean Chance was fine. He had that incredible year in '64 with the Dodgers, the Angels. Um, but he's an even more ridiculous for the Yankees, so that's frankly terrifying. We need ourselves a nice win streak. Just pile up lots of wins against top competition. And that would be lovely. All right, what do we still need on this team? Not much. Like I can't see an obvious flaw on this team at this point. And adding Pete Ward, having Ron Hansen playing out of his mind, Ken Harrelson is starting to reach something of his true potential. So much so I'm just gonna go ahead and bump him over Johnny Edwards. Johnny Edwards has many talents. He's a very talented catcher, but he's not an elite hitter, and that's not his job. Um, what else here? A new reliever wouldn't go amiss. An improved starter to take over from perhaps Ray Washburn wouldn't be a bad thing to have. I'm at least going to kick the tires, but I'm not going to get too grabby. I'm not going to get too grabby. And I'm not going to add a rental if he doesn't genuinely take us over the top. I'd really like to have Claude Lazat in a lot of ways. I think he would be an excellent addition to the club. I'm just not prepared to give up anything special for him. But I would like to add him. Yeah, you're asking for too much. You're asking for a young everyday starter for a reliever, and that's just not my thing. Cal McClish would be a decent pitcher, but I don't know, man. Maybe. I also think we're getting to the point where I'm taking on too much salary. Um, which it is what it is. I can randomly change my ticket price in the middle of the season. That's pretty weird. I don't know why we're not getting more fans, to be honest with you. Um, but I think if we just keep winning, that'll help us out a lot. Let's go ahead and just advance the day and see if anybody actually makes me like a special offer. They probably won't. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Kind of a quiet trade deadline. Phil Roof for Jim Beauchamp. That's fine as deals go, I suppose. Cheeto Fuentes is pretty decent, actually. What are you giving up? Bill Haynes isn't that good. I think they won this particular trade already. Like, I'm not saying Cheeto Fuentes is going to be a guaranteed star, but he's actually really good. And I think that's a win for the White Sox. 100%. And yeah, no other trades are really made, so there you go. That's alright. On the whole, our trade deadline deal was adding Pete Ward. Um, which is definitely a bold move that I hope will pay off, but maybe not. Um, wow, Jim Fregosi is the best hitter of the month. Nice. All right, guys, this is a chance for us. Cleveland is currently leading the division. we need to do really well in this series, and that'll help push us closer to the top. Play well, guys. Play super good. Win all of the games. If you just win every game, it doesn't matter who you beat. That's my life hack right there. Just win the games. Doesn't matter who you're playing. It's Cal Ripken Sr. I'm pretty sure that's Cal Ripken Sr. No, maybe it isn't. Hmm. Because Cal Ripken Jr. is going to be debuting here. No, actually, I think it is Cal Ripken Sr. Yeah. I keep thinking for whatever reason that Cal Ripken played in the 70s, but he didn't. He played in the late 80s and early 90s, so he's the right age. 200 wins for Whitey Ford. Not Daryl Spencer. He's not a bad player. He's just not very good. Um. Mm, guys, getting beat by the expansion team is not a great look if we're trying to be the best team in the American League, which we are. Like, we're definitely trying. I wish we'd get better things other than first base, but okay. Ron Fairley is slipping, which is disappointing a little bit. Is there anything I can do at this point? Honestly, I don't see anything. Um, Stu Miller fucking up is definitely a big problem. I think we need a new closer. Let's try that as something we can do. Um, let's make Barney Schultz our closer. Let's actually make a traditional closer. Let's not do the stopper thing. Um, and you can just be a middle reliever. Wait, where'd he go? He just vanished. Oh no, I made him a specialist for some reason. That's funny. Yeah, he is having a bad season. The home runs are deeply problematic, and I think that's probably why we don't look as good as we should. Barney Schultz knows how to keep the ball down though, which is good. Maybe I should have went after that reliever. I guess I didn't pay enough attention to how much Stu Miller has been struggling this year. Like, let me be very clear here. The pennant is very much in play. We just need to keep pushing as hard as we possibly can. And just be relentless. We need to win game after game after game. Just take care of business, and we've got a chance to be right up there. I just see no benefit to signing people when you have the reserve clause in effect. I just don't see a purpose. Not Stan Johnson. This fucking guy. He played for like 5 minutes and then that was it. What if you'd played better, noob? I guess he's the definition of not a noob since he's retiring, but he lacks noobishness. Mm, we're right there, guys. We are right there. Anything can happen at this point. Anything can happen. But our chances aren't super high. Oh, apparently we have effectively zero chance. Is that actually correct? Have we been eliminated, or is it just really unlikely? We're not eliminated yet. Okay. We've got to take care of business. We've got to win. We only have 3 games left this season. We basically have to win all 3 of them. If we lose a single game, we're out. So don't lose. Okay? 1, 2, 3, break. Damn it, we lost. No, we did win all 3. We did our job. It just wasn't good enough because Cleveland also won 2 games. So always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Damn it. Fucking Cleveland. Mm, mm. So it's Cleveland and the Phillies. Interesting. It could have been an all Ohio series, alas. I mean, Joe Torre calculating 350 is certainly something I didn't predict. Yeah, the Guardians got a World Series championship. Good for them. It's genuine. It's going to be interesting to see whether Frank Robinson or Jim Fregosi gets MVP this year. Because they won the World Series, I know there's going to be a little bit of. I can't remember, but I think you submit your ballots after the World Series, but I don't remember. I know there's one of the major sports that makes you fill out your ballot before the postseason, and I can't remember if it's baseball, hockey, or football. But I remember people are really grumpy about that because they don't have like a fantastic playoffs and they don't get considered for awards other than like actual playoff awards. I could never be a catcher. When I used to play softball in college a little bit, I played like 3 games. I used to catch, um, and yeah, I wasn't very good at it. Then again, I'm not a very good baseball player in real life either. As much as I love the game, I'm a terrible athlete. I have no athletic skills whatsoever. Big Nuke is running for Congress for the House of Representatives. I mean, I got a new contract. I don't know what else I could have done. Mm, mm. Like I know you're grumpy, um, but you need to stop being grumpy. The fans have not turned off. Holy shit. 71 finish is pretty damn good. Like, I don't know what it is you're expecting out of me, but you need to stop whining immediately. Yeah, good stuff. How did the season go? Who are our big contributors? I mean, besides obviously Jim Fregosi, who had an amazing season, led the league in WAR. Um, I think I can safely say he was a really good draft pick. Because he's already taken this team to new heights. Ron Hansen was phenomenal this season. He's always been a good defender, but this year he also contributed a lot on offense, which is great to see. Pete Ward was pretty damn good. Maybe a touch better for Houston than he was for Detroit, but he really played very, very well. And I think we've got a permanent third baseman now, which is great. Ron Fairley is declining at this point. His power is all but gone. I think he's way too popular to get rid of him or even bench him. But I do think this is a challenging decision that we're going to have to eventually solve. Albie Pearson didn't have a great year. A guy whose job is to get on base did not get on base, and that probably hurt the lineup. I just think his skill set is not that great, so we might be shopping for a center fielder again. Johnny Edwards struggled this year. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Johnny Edwards had probably more pressure on him than any season previously, and he wilted a little bit. Ken Harrelson showed a significant improvement from his previous season. We just need more. 19 home runs is great. I need to be 30. That's what I expect of you, so keep working at it to the best of your ability. Thank God for Gene Oliver's power, because he's the only guy we had that hit for really good power numbers in terms of hitting home runs. So, Jack Hyatt had a really good rookie season. He got on base at a very high clip, had a decent bit of power, and played really effectively. There is a very realistic chance that he has a bigger role on the club. Our bench was actually really good this year, other than Elvio Jimenez, who barely played. Yeah. Our pitching was good too. Our top three pitchers are really good, and I really enjoy the fact that Joe Moeller is having a career renaissance. A lot's been asked of him, but he has begun to deliver in a very big way. Stu Miller sucking this year and me not noticing it is probably one of the most big missteps on my part. Mel Stottlemyre had a good rookie year. I know he didn't win very many awards, but he got the job done. So I'm very pleased with him. Not so much Stu Miller. This is a guy who historically has had pretty low home run rates, and this year they just went up really high. He didn't strike as many people out. I think he's probably done. I think we're probably going to need to upgrade the bullpen. Or at least get a better closer. Although Barney Schultz did do well down the stretch, I acknowledge that. I do think we need better relievers in the bullpen. As bullpens become even more important here in 1964. But really proud of these guys. 95 wins is nothing to sneeze at. We're a good team. We're just not quite able to get over the hump. This is the best run Detroit has had since 1944. I think we're closer to the postseason than ever before. We just need to keep pushing a little bit harder each year. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Who did Ted Williams win rings for? I thought he won one for Detroit, but maybe he didn't. Sweet Swingin' Billy from Wiz? I've never heard that ever in the history of anything. Okay, there's a lot of Williamses. That's fair. What if I said Ted Williams? There you go. I know he got a ring, didn't he? 46 and 57. So in 1946, yeah, I want accomplishments here. No, I don't. Awards? No, that's not it either. Oh well. Oh, it doesn't actually list who he won the World Series with. Okay. Oh, no, here it is. Yeah, he won the World Series with Philadelphia in 46. And then he won in 57 with the White Sox. There you go. Damn. This still drives out the fucking wall that Detroit just randomly cut him. Like, that was so random and so stupid. Just so dumb. And Philadelphia are going to retire number 9. How many hits did Ted Williams end up with? He ended up with almost 4,000 hits. If he'd hung on for one more season, I think he would have gotten it. And I'm pretty sure that the only players in Major League history that ever got 4,000 hits was Ty Cobb. I'm pretty sure. But maybe not. Maybe even Ty Cobb never got 4,000 hits. Yeah, it is Ty Cobb. Yeah. Because in all Major League history, technically only three players have 4,000 hits. So one of them is Ichiro Suzuki. And it depends on if you include his years in Japan. If you don't, then it's just Cobb and Pete Rose. Um, damn. I mean, he's already like the best player in Major League history. I guess you can't criticize him too much. Like, what a fucking loser. You only had the second most hits in Major League history. Just fucking shoot him right now. So that is it for this episode. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Until next time, this has been Abguardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.